Hi, intrepid viewers. Can you believe it? This is the 600th video of Tarot Down Under. Thank you all so much, and I really hope in my own small way I have helped you, but we've been together on this journey. Has it not been epic? It's still got a long way to go. So we have to dive in right away. So there's a deadline of Tuesday at noon, high noon, for Trump's Mickey Mouse lawyers to get back about the appeal. Now, before I get into this, my first digression for the 600th video, can anyone please explain to me how an obscure judge like Aileen Cannon, who's a legal featherweight, whose name we didn't know 2 weeks ago, how can she hold a whole country hostage and have the DOJ on its knees begging for a stay of her imbecilic ruling? How does that, Anyway, we're going to have a look. I just want to see the energy around this whole thing about the special master. I worry about this special master too. He's 78. He's a Reagan appointee, right? He must have been in kindergarten in the Reagan years. But anyway, he's 78 now. Regular viewers know how I feel about these appointments. You shouldn't have to be over 75 to become a participant in democracy. Anyway, let's have a look. The energy around the special master, what will he allow and not allow, and let's see. All right, come on down. What an extraordinary case. Oh, two came out together, including plans and the devil. Okay. Now, let's tackle this. The first major card, this is Pentacles, but Pentacles are also about values, and it's, in this case, clearly about holding on to what is happening. I think in this case, this is the Trump lawyers sort of, I won't say last stand because we should have already been there, but we're not. So, this is, oh God, we'll just hold on to it. We'll put it off as long as we humanly can with the hangman. This is just a stalling tactic, nothing to do with law, really. Now, behind the scenes, this is what's going on underneath. I suspect this is Trump's lawyers and real lawyers talking in some level, trying to get some deal to have this move forward. I think there is some wheeling and dealing behind the scenes going on here. Now, Knight of Swords, I think these two cards, are the opposite energies of Trump lawyers. This is sort of talking deals, and this is their public face. He was our last great president sort of energy. There's a vengefulness here, which has Trump-esque energy around it, don't know. What these papers will reveal is business that was conducted overseas. I think this is where the contention's going to lie. How much of this stuff has been sent overseas, sold overseas, affected other countries? This card is bigger than it looks here. Okay. And then outcome, just in case we weren't sure. the devil. Now, who is chained to the devil? Well, first guess it'd have to be Aileen Cannon, wouldn't it? I mean, I think they should be looking at her bank accounts. So there's still this literally demonic energy hanging over this whole case. I mean, really, the bastion of world democracy, although that's been a questionable status for some time, being treated like this by this complete unknown quantity. I mean, I never fail to be surprised, and I'm sure you don't either. For American viewers, what this whole process has revealed is just how weird a lot of your systems are. When you are born to any country, you assume whatever your country and your government does is sort of normal. And it's actually not normal. You know, it all has to be looked at. Now, so the special master stuff, I think, is going to go on for some time. My vibe is the guy himself is probably going to be a bit overwhelmed, firstly with the responsibility, and secondly, the sheer volume of documents. I mean, really. Okay, so, and then a small apology. I'm going to give half an apology here. I said in my last video that Marjorie Taylor Greene, I thought, had been born to a mega uber rich family. Not the case. It was just a middle-class family. That's okay. I don't have to backpedal on anything else I said about her because she's just an aggressive right-wing harpy. But you would have seen during the week, she kicked an 18-year-old Gen Z advocate for asking a question. Not only did she kick the constituent, she then put it on her own video. It's craziness incarnate. So let's have a look. I want to know, because the general, if you just read general behind the scenes news, it's saying Marjorie Taylor is going to get back in, but I want to have a look at her voting public. Are they still behind her or not? Let's have a look. Very strange woman. Oh, okay. A little bit here going on. Now, the 10 of Cups was traditionally my GOP card, but because it's been redesigned for the One World Tarot, I like it a bit more. But nonetheless, this is about families and family values, which always plays into the red heartland, even though everyone's family is being dismembered by the hideous things that are happening and the opioid crisis and now the stuff on abortion and the lack of gun control and everything else. The fantasy lives on. The rainbow fantasy lives on. Money, you know, just, I was going to say a naughty word. I will change that to truckloads of money coming into her campaign. She still holds the support. This is the King of Pentacles. The Yeti rusted on MAGA files. So the first three cards are, oh, absolutely, she's going to win. Yes, it's all about Republicans and money in the Yeti. And then I got Biden's card, the King of Cups. Let me just do a little clarifier on the King of Cups. Does this mean there's any hope for her not being elected, that people are listening to Biden? What does the Biden card mean, Spirit? Biden's card. Biden's card. All right. Queen of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles. So women. Okay. Now we all know when women are right-wing vicious nutcases, they're the worst of the worst. But I think this is women actually starting to think Biden might be a better bet. However, there is still this card of group work going on. There'll be a lot of GOP resources pumped into MTG. I don't think Bobert's going to make it through, but MTG, oh, Colorado, you can do better than that. Oh my God. Now, sorry, let me look at my notes in other news. Oh, Stephen Miller. Now, we all remember Stephen Miller from the early days, right? And the speech writer, if you could call them speeches, they're just hate mongering on steroids, just an inescapably vile person. So I'm just going to have a quick look because he's been subpoenaed. He's one of those reptilian guys. Oh, Bannon's in your face and all that. Stephen Miller, you wouldn't know he was in the building. He's subterranean. Ooh. Anyway, finally, he has been one of those who was showered with subpoenas, and suddenly he has to be accountable. Okay, Stephen Miller, what's going to be his testimony? Oh, he's evaluating what he's going to say as we speak. Oh, all right. Stephen Miller. Now, Seven of Pentacles, looking at the harvest, this sort of thing. So he is taking legal advice as we speak. How little can I say and get away with it? That's what his question is. Now, the Queen of Cups here. Why the Queen of Cups? Maybe you guys can throw some light on this, because there's not an iota of feminine energy around Stephen Miller. This is often the card of the mother. Now, bear in mind, he comes from a Jewish family, and he's like a reincarnation of the worst of the worst. Is his mother still alive? Can someone let me know? I think this is something to do with his mother. Last thing I expected. Listen. The world is watching because we all had to sit through those hideous hate-mongering speeches, right? So people are watching, even if America's too busy to focus on Stephen Miller. The rest of the world is watching. And the World card is also about the end of a major cycle. I think he might give away a little something, waiting for his ship to come in. I think he's going to play hardball with lawyers and say, I will only cooperate if I get something. So we know when you're requesting a deal with FBI and all of that, and we know there's been 40 extra subpoenas, you have to be the one that gets in first, because if 6 people flip out of 40, or even 3 people flip out of 40, you can't go along and go, well, I want a deal. I think this is what he's evaluating with his lawyers now. I think he wants to be one of the first 2 or 3 to try and get some sort of deal. Now, Kellyanne Conway. I'm sure most of you have seen George Conway on a million different MSNBC platforms and stuff. You have to like George, he's a nice enough guy. How do you put those two together? Because she was an active player, particularly in the early days. she was the one who invented the term alternative facts. You know, she was so instrumental in making the Yeti palatable to people in those early days. So I've been asked to look inside their marriage. Kellyanne Conway and George Conway. I mean, how could you share a breakfast table or even a garage for your cars? How could you share that with someone who is your polar political opposite in such a public sphere? What's going on in the marriage? What's going on in the marriage? Now, this is not your average marriage. That much I can tell you. Here's the thing. I think their marriage is already moved to that dimension where you're just there till the kids are old enough to leave home or go to college or to do something. Like, this is a loveless marriage, and I think has been for quite some time. Okay. Now, this is George, I think, the King of Swords. He's a legal guy and all of that. I think in that sense, she's not stupid. She's smart enough too, but I think he's a bit smarter than her. But emotionally, he is softer than she is. She's tough as nails, right? This, I think, represents their joint parenting with the Page of Cups. This is about the kids marking time. This is my new Six of Wands card, the victory card. I think she's intending to make money out of this. I think that's what it was about all along. I think in the early days, there was some sort of agreement. This is the victory. I think they're going to pull it off as a couple, like even if they actually get divorced, they'll sort of pull it off. He secretly, I don't think they fight about this stuff. I think there was a pact to make money. She happened to be in the inside. No one thought he was going to get elected. Remember, this was back then. And I think they looked at each other and went, look, just hang in for the ride and you'll make a killing down the track. Right. So I think their marriage is a bit complicated from the outside point of view. Okay. Now, Matt Gaetz. He is looking at what one commentator called a wave of indictments, and he asked for a preemptive pardon. So I've read on him before quite recently. So I just want to try and get, you know, we all know tarot's not brilliant with timelines, but will Matt Gaetz be indicted before the end of the year? I'll just try. Let's see what we get here. What's happening here with Matt Gaetz? Will he be indicted? His co-conspirator has pled guilty, so duh. Anyway. Right. No. It's iffy. Four of Wands, he might be lucky after them, massive emotion, the Empress. Look, I think juggling the Two of Pentacles, sorry, juggling this situation. You know how there's always been this convention, and it's true in most countries, you don't do anything major with people within 60 days of an election. The Yeti is different because it involves national security, but I think they're weighing up when will they indict him. He gets the Four of Wands, often the wedding card and stuff. I think he's going to benefit from that convention. So he's getting more emotional about this. I think he's one of those, shock jock sort of guys who doesn't have much emotion normally, but this is beginning to sink in to his cold and steelish heart. We have the Empress. There's going to be an expansion of the charges against Matt Gaetz, but I doubt we'll hear about it before the election. As always, love to be wrong. So I think maybe before Christmas, because we need to see some of these people being pulled up here. Now, oh yes, small tax rate. So after the famous images of the Yeti and his cohort on the golf course with no golf clubs, on Twitter and everywhere, it was hilarious, saying, oh, there's a remake of The Sopranos going on and all of this. But it looked like quite a desperate gathering. So what's going to happen there? Let's have a look. I want to look briefly at Mark Meadows, because things are now, they've been circling around. He stayed out of it. Everything's been going around and around and around and around Mark Meadows. So let's have a look there. Mark Meadows. Oh, before I get into, I just heard J6. Now, we've had to change our tarot party because of the January 6th hearings. And I'm thinking, I'm shuffling on Mark Meadows and here J6. He could be part of the revelations of that. Okay. We'll see. He is burdened, yeah. All right. I don't think he has a choice much anymore. He's been burdened by this for quite some time. He's known it's coming, it's coming. He did his best to slide away, I don't think this is his heart broken like Mark Meadows' heart per se. I don't think these guys, look, of the last 40 subpoenas, I don't think they've got a heart between them. It's not heartbreak in that sense. It's like, this is what people, hopefully, the American people will see that he did. He put swords in the heart of the American people while he was in the service, King of Pentacles of the Yeti. The outcome card is celebration, and it certainly won't be his. So I think there's something in the Mark Meadows testimony. He could well have already been complying. I suspect he has, or his staff has. They know a lot about Mark Meadows. And this, you see, is the twin of this. I think people, you think you can't be shocked anymore, but there will be some shock and hurt involved with what his stuff contains. But there's a celebration on the other side because it's really bringing things together. Oh, my word. And I also think there's going to be more raids on the Yeti's other properties. We can only pray. Now, excuse me a minute, have to have a coffee early in the morning in Australia. So let me just check here on my list Will King Charles III abdicate? I think it's too early for that. We'll leave that a while. I want to look at Philadelphia. Josh Shapiro is going up against Doug Mastriano for the governor of Philadelphia. So Josh Shapiro, I don't know much about him, but he seems like, you know, a smart enough person, nice enough guy, someone who'd do the political work. Doug Mastriano is an election denier and all the rest that goes with that. So let's look at Josh Shapiro versus Doug Mastriano. Normally I do one on one side, one on the other. I'm just going to go for Josh Shapiro and see if it's a win or a loss. We'll have a look. Let's have a look here. Josh Shapiro. Okay. Let's have a look. His main card is the strength card. I like that. Inner strength. You know, he's got that in spades. He's working with people as closely as he can. He knows this isn't just personal, oh, it'd be great if I got this job. He understands with this strength card that Philadelphia is important. The governorship is really important to the status quo. So I like this about his energy. It's not just about him. He knows it's important for the country, and that is his real burden. Now, this could be a race here. He gets the Ace of Pentacles, which I'm pleased about, then confusion. So this could be one of those where there's a recount or some confusion over who stands for what. There's something complicating going on with this actual result, but I like this outcome. I like this outcome for Josh Shapiro. Oh, please, Philadelphia, please. Okay. Now, while I'm shuffling, in international news today, there's a young woman in Iran. She's actually Kurdish, and she was arrested for being improperly dressed, that her hijab didn't cover all her hair or something, and she was beaten by the Iranian police, and 3 days later she died. And her name is Mahsa Amini, and that has led to huge protests by Iranian women ripping off their hijabs in public. This is courage. We in the West have no idea how courageous these people are to be doing this, right? Knowing that you too could be arrested and beaten and killed, and to do that is phenomenal. And here is the feminine principle at work. So blessings for the young woman and blessings for the women of Iran. Absolutely. Now, we know Trump's accounting firm has given up the ghost. They are going to be submitting the documents. They should have submitted 4 years ago, 5 years ago, but anyway, they are now. Let's have, just before I go, I've got a few things to announce here. Oh, in a new book that's coming out, it's an insider look at Trump's madder foreign policy adventures. So you may or may not remember, he wanted to invade Venezuela for the oil, but was stopped. He wanted to swap Puerto Rico for Greenland, because Greenland has oil. Why wouldn't you just swap them? Awesome. But this is an absolute classic. The West Bank, i.e. Palestine, he tried to sell the West Bank to the King of Jordan, King Abdullah of Jordan. And apparently, King Abdullah himself was so shocked by the proposition. So it went as far as him being talked to about this. It is so mad. It is so demented. King Abdullah apparently said, I thought I was having a heart attack because it was just such a shock, a deep, profound shock that anyone, anywhere in the world would think this was an idea. This has Kushner written all over it, all over it. Now, news. In other news, we will be letting you know the details of the live stream, which will now be the 3rd of October, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have to get back to all the tarot people. We have to change it all. We're having one live stream, not two, but we don't want to detract from the January 6th hearing. So that's really important, and we'll let you know. There's something else, just hang in there while I try and remember. I thought I must say about this. Oh, yeah. And I'll put these up as pinned comments. You know, that theatrical, cruel exercise of DeSantis of sending the immigrants to Martha's Vineyard and stuff. Brian Tyler Cohen, many of you will know him as a podcaster. He does a brilliant podcast on that. And the second half of it, he talks about everything that immigrants bring to the country, including vast amounts of revenue and skills and hard work and inspiration, but he gives the actual figures, and that's what the Dems are very bad at doing, pushing back. Mary Trump's been saying this in her podcast too. You have to explain to people the economic contribution of immigrants. It's the same in Australia. It's the same in the UK. A lot of the anti-immigrant sentiment is what pushed Brexit through, which is a debacle. It's a disaster for the UK. And immigration is what's keeping America basically out of the toilet, you know, the job. Anyway, he does it better than I do, and he gives a really succinct rundown and some stats that are useful for you to use in your everyday life when you're talking to people. And I'll put where you fast forward to. The other one I'm putting up, which is an absolute classic, someone has put together Pete Buttigieg. Remember, I've been saying Fox keeps having on Pete Buttigieg, and he keeps wiping the floor with the Fox people, and he's popular with the Fox audience. And these are the standing ovations he has got from Fox audiences. So they've been put together in a clip, and that is really valuable. And something he says there that I think is really important too. He said he gets criticised by some of his Dem colleagues. Why are you going on Fox? And he says, and I agree, you've got to meet people where they are. You go to them and then hopefully take them somewhere else, right? And he's so good at it. So I think you'll enjoy that mashup a lot. So my darling hearts, here we are at number 600, and we're inching towards our tarot party. So keep the comments rolling in, and you know how much I love you, and then you can multiply that by 1,000. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.